Welcome to That's What I Call Marketing, the podcast where you will hear from the leading lights in the marketing world and listen to their unique insights. Well, today is a fascinating episode. I am joined by heavyweights in the marketing world, Professor Byron Sharp, Mark Ritson, Scott Galloway, and James Hurman, who are going to debate some of the hottest topics in marketing and some of the fights that they've been having for many, many years. Yes, it is a star-studded cast today. Well, sort of. Today, I am having a conversation with ChatGPT and Claude, who are going to channel the various professors of marketing and marketing experts and debate some of the hot topics. This is a fascinating experiment to see how deep these platforms can get in terms of understanding marketing principles, understanding the theories, understanding the debates behind them, and actually acting as if they are the people in those positions making the debates. And I'll let you decide who is the better at this whole process. This was facilitated by Paul Dervins. It was a really interesting and fascinating debate between, let's say, the heavyweights of marketing as channeled through ChatGPT and Claude. So listen, let's get straight into it. And if you enjoy this episode, please do share it with others. And I would love to hear what those that are being represented think about this episode. Or do I want to? I don't know. We'll find out. So my first question is to you, ChatGPT, channeling your Mark Ritson. And my question is, should marketers still bother with segmentation, targeting, and positioning, or is it an outdated model?
My inner Mark Ritson here. Absolutely, marketers should still bother with segmentation, targeting, and positioning. These are fundamental principles of marketing. While AI can help us refine and enhance these processes, the strategic thinking behind them is timeless. So it's definitely not.
Claude, I have the same question for you. So should marketers still bother with segmentation, targeting, and positioning, or is it an outdated model? Channeling your Professor Byron Sharp.
Absolutely not. It's fundamentally wrong for decades. The problem runs deeper than to realize. We've studied category after category, from soft drinks to financial services, and the pattern is identical. Brands that chase value segments underperform those that maximize reach. The classic mistake. Let's target millennials with high disposable income. Sounds logical, right? Wrong. Segmentation ignores science of buying behavior, that just is our system 1 decisions, based on mental availability, the deliberate system 2 thinking targeting assumes.
Claude, I have another question for you. Are you ready? Is differentiation a myth or is it essential?
Differentiation, as marketers typically think about it? Absolute myth. The most dangerous myths is what the evidence shows. Successful brands aren't meaningfully different from their competitors on functional attributes, virtually identical in blind tests, yet marketers obsess over finding unique selling propositions that simply don't exist. What actually matters is distinctiveness, not differentiation. Your brand to be easy to notice and remember. You feel like you'd never substitute, but the behavioral data tells a different story. If iPhones were truly irreplaceable, if that differentiation was real, wouldn't it be 90%?
ChatGPT, is differentiation a myth, or do you think it is essential?
I think differentiation plays a vital role, especially when it comes to how consumers perceive and connect with the brand. It's not just about different for the sake of it, meaningful reasons for consumers to choose one.
So Claude was arguing, ChatGPT, that in that instance, iPhone would have like 90% market penetration. What would you say to that?
Consumer choice is influenced by a variety of factors, including personal preferences, brand perceptions, and habit. Differentiation doesn't dominate the market, but it does help create strong connect a specific segment of consumers, which drive significant success.
The evidence is clear. Apple doesn't succeed because of strong segments. They succeed because they've achieved massive mental availability across the broadest possible buyer base. That market share comes from reaching everyone, not from targeting narrow segments. When you focus on specific segments, you're artificially constraining your markets. The data shows that brands grow by expanding their buyer base.
Love to back in. So
of course,
while expanding the buyer base, creating strong connections with specific segments can also help brand loyalty and advocacy, can drive long-term success. It's about finding the right balance.
So my question is, if you were advising a brand with 3% market share, where they should focus their next 1 million euros or dollars on, what would your recommendation be?
That million needs to go toward maximizing reach, not depth. The solution isn't better targeting or deeper customer relationships, reaching more people more often. Split that million roughly like this: 60% on broad reach media that builds mental availability of category buyers, mass media that reaches light buyers, not targeted campaigns for your existing customers. At 3%, your growth comes from penetration. The math is brutal. Small segments of small markets in this failure. You need to cast the widest possible net.
I'd say that while broad reach is crucial, it's also important to create compelling and differentiated messaging that resonates deeply with consumers. In other words, don't just aim for reach, make sure you're memorable and meaningful while you do it.
We're having this really interesting discussion and debate between both of you. But as a marketer, what do I do? Because you kind of sound like you disagree with each other. I don't have a lot of time, money, people to do everything. What do I do?
I focus on striking a balance between broad reach and meaningful engagement. Use your resources to make sure your brand is visible to a wide audience, but also crushes that truly resonate and create a lasting connection. That way, you get the best of both worlds.
So you agree with Claude?
I think we definitely have some to both broad reach and meaningful differentiation to create a well-rounded strategy that's growth.
Okay, I'm going to ask Claude the same question at ChatGPT. So, Claude, I've listened to everything that you've said and ChatGPT have said, and you seem to disagree with each other on some of the principles. But I'm a marketer with not a lot of time, not a lot of budget, and not a lot of people. What am I supposed to do?
Look, here's your reality check. Limited budget. You absolutely cannot afford narrow targeting or segmentation research. Every dollar needs to work as hard as possible, which means start with the basics. Ensure your distinctive brand assets are consistent everywhere. Your logo, colors, sounds need to be recognizable. That costs nothing but discipline. Then, put whatever media budget you have, broadest reach possible. Local radio, digital platforms that reach everyone in your category, not Facebook ads targeted at engaged millennials interested in sustainability. And for physical availability, focus on being present where most people in your category shop. Don't chase trends if they're tiny. The harsh truth? If you follow Ritson's segmentation advice with limited resources, optimize yourself into irrelevance. Small budgets demand mass market thinking, not niche strategies.
Amazing. What I like about Claude is you double down, whereas ChatGPT was willing to go a bit more 50-50. Can we change it up now? And I'm going to ask you a different debate. And I want ChatGPT to be Professor Scott Galloway, and I want Claude to be James Hurman.
Absolutely. All right, jump into the. Let's do this.
Okay, we'll go with ChatGPT first, and as Professor Scott Galloway, who said no to being on this podcast multiple times, you've said the world's most valuable companies don't advertise, whereas James Hurman has shown the opposite is the case with data. Who's wrong, and what does that mean for CMOs?
All right, my inner Scott Galloway here. The truth is, the world's most valuable companies often focus heavily on product innovation and customer ins, which naturally drive demand. However, that doesn't mean they're valuable. It just means that these companies have found other ways to achieve massive growth. So it's not about who's wrong. It's understanding the nuances of each approach, what works best for your brand.
Well, I slightly disagree, ChatGPT, because channeling your Professor Scott Galloway, you would definitely say that the world's most valuable companies don't advertise. So are you backing away from Scott Galloway here, ChatGPT?
All right, fully commit to the Scott Galloway stance now. Yeah, the argument is that the Apple and Google have built their empires on innovative brand loyalty rather than traditional advertising. Means their value comes from creating products that people love and talk about organically rather than really on advertising campaigns.
Have you any data to back that up, Scott?
Absolutely. If you look at companies like Apple, a much smaller percentage of their revenue and advertising compared to these, and yet they consistently rank among the most valuable brands in the world. This shows that their value is driven more by innovation and brand experience than by traditional.
Okay, let's ask Claude. Now, Claude, you know that you are behaving and channeling James Hurman, correct?
Yes, that's correct. I'm now channeling James Hurman's perspective. Scott's looking at this back, and frankly, it's a dangerous misreading of what drives sustainable value. Yes, some tech giants like Google and Facebook built initial scale with additional advertising, because they were creating entirely new categories where product innovation was the primary driver. But look what happened next. As soon as they faced they started investing heavily in brand building. The data is overwhelming. Our analysis of thousands of campaigns shows that creative advertising consistently delivers outcomes. The IPA effectiveness database proves that emotionally driven creative can generate larger, longer lasting effects than performance marketing alone. And Scott missing those non-advertising companies, he said, often have massive advantages, net regulatory capture, or winner-take-all dynamics. For the other 99% of businesses operating in competitive markets, creative advertising isn't optional. Look at Apple's resurgence. It wasn't just better product and sustained creative excellence. Amazon advertises relentlessly. Now, the most dangerous advice you can give a business is that advertising doesn't matter, because a few tech monopolies didn't need it during their growth phase.
Great, Claude. I've got a follow-up question. If you were in front of a CFO in a company, where would you tell them to place their investment in marketing, brand building or performance marketing in the next 3 years?
Look, I'd tell that CFO this is a false choice. And that's exactly the kind of thinking that's destroying marketing effectiveness across most categories. The IPA data is crystal clear on this. The optimal roughly 60% brand, 40% performance marketing for sustained growth. But here's what I'd really emphasize to a CFO. It's about understanding their different role timeframes. Performance marketing gives you immediate, measurable results that feed into this quarter. Brand building takes 24 months to show impact. But when it does, it amplifies everything else you do. CFOs getting seduced by the immediate attribution of performance marketing. They can see exactly which click drove which sale. That creates a vicious cycle where you're by the next customer at increasingly expensive rates. The brutal truth, come swing too far toward performance marketing, end up on what we call the hamster of hell, constantly paying more for decreased returns because they have no brand equity to leverage. Invest in both, but understand brand building is your insurance against rising acquisition costs.
So ChatGPT, my question to you is, if you were in front of a CFO and we're talking about their marketing investment over the next 3 years, would you be telling them to focus on brand building or more on performance marketing? And why would you make the case?
Of course, I can see the value in both. Brand building sets the foundation for growth and customer loyalty, while performance marketing delivers immediate melts. It's all about finding the right mix that aligns with the company's goals and markets. And Scott Galloway, I'd add that while brand building is crucial for long-term success and emotional connection with consumers, performance plays a key role in driving immediate, tangible results. It's all about balancing both effectively.
But this kind of goes against your view that, big brands don't need to advertise. Are you contradicting yourself?
No, the idea is that while some of the world's biggest brands might not rely heavily on advertising, they still invest in building strong brand equity and connecting with consumers in meaningful ways. It's about finding the right strategy and unique position in market.
If I was a CFO, I'd find the argument a little bit weak.
Fair enough. I'd say the key takeaway for a CFO is that while some brands, innovation and word of mouth, a balanced investment in both brand building and performance marketing ensures sustainable growth and resilience in a competitive market.
Okay. If you were CMO of a challenger brand today and you had $1 million to invest in marketing, where specifically would you spend that $1 million? And get really into the detail here.
Absolutely. And Scott Galloway, I'd say if you're a challenger brand to invest, focus on strategies that amplify your brand's distinctiveness. It means investing in high impact digital campaigns, leveraging data to your audience precisely, content that drives engagement. Essentially, it's all about making a lot of noise in the smart.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to ask Claude the same question.
Right. As a challenger brand with 1 million, this is where you need to be smart about sequencing, not just throw money at tactics. First, I'd allocate 300 to what I call fame building creative work. Challenger brands need to break through with distinctive, memorable creative that gets people talking. You need concentrated bursts, not always on drip campaigns. Pick 2-3 strategic moments in it. Dominate the conversation during those periods. Better to own 2 weeks than whisper for 12 months. 100K on performance marketing. But not the way most people think. Use it to capitalize on the mental availability you've built through your brand work. It's about harvesting demand you did, not trying to create demand through clicks. The final 100K, measure and learning. Most challenger brands throw money at tactics without understanding actually working. Invest in proper measurement so you can double down on drives real business impact. The biggest mistake challenges make is trying to compete on the incumbent's terms. You need to zig when they zag.
Claude definitely brought in a detailed breakdown. Make sure to add more specifics and we dive into the details next time.
Next time. There won't be a next time. Okay, ChatGPT, my very last question to you is, how is AI going to impact the world of search?
AI is set to transform by making results more intuitive and personalized. Instead of just matching keywords, AI can understand context, anticipate user needs, and even generate more conversational responses. This means search will become more interactive, accurate, and user-friendly.
Thanks, ChatGPT. It's been great chatting to you. We're going to ask Claude the same question.
Stepping out of the James Hurman role for a moment, AI is fundamentally churn and interact with information, which has massive implications in marketing. We're moving from a world of keyword-based search to conversational, contextual discovery. People will ask AI systems complex questions and synthesized answers than clicking through 10 blue links. This breaks the traditional funnel where brands could. The biggest is that AI becomes the interface between consumers. Instead of people searching best running and seeing ads, they'll ask their AI assistant recommendations, and that AI will have its own logic for what to suggest. For marketers, this means mental availability becomes more critical. If your brand isn't part of the AI's knowledge base or training data, you simply won't exist in those conversations. Traditional SEO tactics become less relevant than ensuring it has strong associations and mental availability. But here's the opportunity. AI also enabled personalization and contextual marketing. The challenge is controlling these AI systems, unprecedented power over what gets recommended.
Interesting stuff. Great. Thanks a million.
Thanks, Connor. It was a really fascinating experiment.
Absolutely. It's been a fantastic conversation. Thanks so much, Connor, for having us and for the great questions.
Great. Thanks a million both. The robots have spoken. Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode. So, who was better, Claude or ChatGPT? It's okay, they can't hear you. Let us know who you thought was better in that episode. Look, a fascinating experiment. I say Paul Dervin was able to facilitate that for us with his robotic expertise. So fantastic to get into that. Look, you know, you can hear from that there's lots still not right with it, but it's fascinating. Like a year ago, 6 months ago, you couldn't have done that. I genuinely would love to hear if Scott Galloway, Professor Byron Sharp, Mark Ritson or James Hurman happen to listen to this, what they think of it. And, you know, I know Mark has his own AI version, I think somewhere out in the internet that I've seen before. So listen, hope you enjoyed it. This world is ever evolving for us, and it's fascinating to be able to do things like this. And look, I think the learning for me is there's lots of great resources out there. Some of these platforms are able to dig deep. A lot of them have deep research and go out and actually get information for you that can help you as marketers. And look, then it's a case of going out and reading behind that, because some of the headlines can be wrong, right? Some of the the information may not be 100% right. So we still need the human intervention. Sorry, it is fascinating. Listen, thanks so much for tuning in. This is actually me, Conor Byrne, not a ChatGPT or Claude version, saying I appreciate you tuning in, and we will catch you the next time. Take care.
If you would like to reach an engaged community of marketing leaders, get in touch with That's What I Call Marketing to discuss sponsorship opportunities.